Okay, let's unpack this. True intellectual freedom. Where does it really begin? Our source material for this deep dive kicks off with a really powerful idea.
Yeah, it draws inspiration from that Scott Buchanan quote, the
Huh?
Socratic idea.
Exactly. That freedom starts when you kind of humble yourself enough to admit, nothing.
Uh-huh.
And then it adds this layer, do you even know what you don't know? And, therefore what you should be trying to learn.
And if you can answer that, the source says, then you become your own teacher, essentially.
Right. Setting your own assignments, judging your own work. You don't need someone else telling you you're on the right track.
It's a challenging thought.
It really is. It makes you pause and wonder, especially now in a world that feels, overloaded. Information, distractions, things that just aren't what they seem. Have you ever truly questioned what you know? Like factually,
Yeah.
about anything?
And that's the core tension this source dives right into, this idea that the more you learn, the more you realize just how much is unknown. And it suggests finding genuine answers, maybe a way through what it calls the human predicament. It feels like it's being made deliberately difficult. Misdirection, distractions everywhere.
This material we're looking at, it's an audio excerpt you shared, and it really digs into this possibility. The control might be happening in ways we just don't see immediately.
Uh-huh. Very subtle.
So our mission for this deep dive is basically to pull out the key arguments, the main insights from the source, try and help you cut through some of that complexity, understand the dynamics it's talking about.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
One of the first really striking points the source makes is just how hard it is to see clearly in this environment it describes, full of, distraction and misdirection.
It really pushes you to look beyond the surface, doesn't it?
That's right.
It's that idea of looking at both sides, right? The source argues even when the right hand seems to be offering something positive, something genuinely good,
You absolutely have to watch what the left hand is doing at the same time.
see the whole picture.
Right. And the source points out there's often pushback if you try to do that. If you don't just go along with the general consensus that everything's roses.
You get labeled.
Yeah, you might quickly find yourself called a fearmonger just for looking at potential downsides.
It really stresses being objective and prudent. Consider the worst that could happen, maybe plan for it, but still, absolutely hope for the best.
It's not about being negative, it's about awareness, preparedness.
And crucially, it hammers home the need to think for yourself. Don't just follow the crowd.
The source is pretty firm on this, especially given, as it puts it, the amount of theatrics we see going on.
Just because an idea is popular or lots of people believe it, that doesn't automatically make it true or right or good. That's the argument here.
And connected to that is this warning about hubris, letting your guard down.
Getting complacent.
Exactly, passively sitting back. Because maybe some information fits what you want to believe or because it seems like everyone agrees.
And the source says that can distract you, right, from taking your own action, making your own plans.
Yeah, it gives examples like the direction blockchain and crypto seem to be heading, or the QAnon phenomenon.
Okay.
The source suggests people can become spectators in those situations, feeling like someone else is handling it, maybe waiting for a predicted outcome or a savior figure.
And they stop focusing on their own path, or maybe activism they were doing.
That's the potential danger it highlights, to just sit back and watch.
Okay, so that really sets up the source's main hypothesis, doesn't it? Is all this just natural evolution, society, technology just changing organically?
Or is humanity being actively led somewhere specific? A direction where people think they're getting freer?
But they're actually becoming more controlled.
That's the core question, and the source leans heavily towards that second interpretation. It points to specific mechanisms.
Like what?
Well, a big one, it argues, is the systematic removal of human decision-making, taking it out of processes and often handing control over to AI or automated systems.
It brings up blockchain again here, doesn't it?
It does. While the idea might be decentralizing currency control.
Which sounds good to some.
Right. But the source asks, by automating transactions, taking human judgment out of that chain, does it actually reduce the agency of the average person? Their ability to question or step into the process?
Interesting point. Losing that human element.
And it argues this goes way beyond just currency. Technology offers conveniences, sure, but maybe at the cost of fundamental life skills.
And real participation in reality, it says.
Yeah, replacing them with digital versions, virtual substitutes, which the source argues limits our potential as humans. It replaces everyday human actions with machine-controlled ones.
And the source draws a pretty stark connection here. It argues this isn't just happening by accident.
No, it ties these conveniences and changes in things like the education system to what it calls a systematic dumbing down of humanity.
It uses that analogy of physical atrophy, right?
Yeah.
Use it or lose it.
Exactly. If you don't use your muscles, they weaken. The source suggests the same is happening with our brains, our basic cognitive skills.
It gives some really concrete examples, too, like using GPS in your own city.
Right. You stop learning directions yourself, stop building that mental map.
Or needing manuals for simple tasks that people used to just know how to do.
Or it mentions people leaving school or college unable to do something as basic as using a tape measure.
Wow.
And the source argues this turns people into, well, automatons or drones, just following instructions from a system.
And this loss of skills, this erosion, the source says it creates a really powerful new way to control people.
The threat of being shut out, denied access to the digital world.
Because if that system, technology, digital money, automated services becomes everything, because you've lost the skills to manage without it.
Then the fear of being disconnected, locked out, becomes huge.
The source suggests potential consequences for not fitting in, for dissenting. Could include things like being diagnosed with stress issues, maybe needing medication.
Or even being categorized as disabled in some way.
Which leads to that really controversial point the source raises about the rise in categorized disabilities. ADD, ADHD, stress. It even uses the term anti-authoritarian syndrome.
Yeah, and it mentions the WHO projection about stress becoming a major cause of disability by 2020 as a kind of signpost for this trend.
So the argument presented is what exactly? That this labeling marginalizes people.
That's the idea, that it can sideline nonconformity, independent thinking. By labeling someone who questions the system or just doesn't fit neatly as disabled or mentally unstable.
It makes it easier to manage them, suppress dissent.
That's what the source suggests, maybe through medical means, therapy, essentially sidestepping legal or political challenges to the system itself.
Okay, so let me try and pull that thread together. The source is basically arguing that the system is maybe purposefully removing our skills, our cognitive functions.
Making us dependent.
Right. Dependent and therefore easier to lead. Because if you lack those real-world skills, that self-sufficiency, the system is your reality.
And the threat of being kicked out of it is enough to keep people in line.
But it's not just about tech and skills, is it? The source also talks about social factors, psychological ones.
Definitely. It sees the breakdown of the traditional family unit as pretty integral to this whole control system it's describing.
It points to things like the economy needing both parents to work.
And, controversially, the introduction of TV back in the 50s. The source argues TV kind of replaced parents, became a virtual parent.
Leading to generation, like Gen X apparently, feeling a lack of attention, and that pattern repeating.
That's the argument. And this lack of attention, it suggests, fuels a lot of modern attention-seeking behavior, especially online.
Social media. Likes, putting yourself out there constantly.
Yeah, but the source frames it not necessarily as just vanity, but as people searching for something they missed. Worth, value, just feeling heard.
And it connects that to how education, maybe society in general, can kind of homogenize us, iron out individuality.
Right, so if you don't feel seen or valued in the real world, maybe you seek that validation online, even if it's superficial.
The source also mentions the breakdown of the wider family, right? Extended family, cousins, older relatives.
Yeah, particularly in the West. It contrasts it with cultures where those ties are often stronger, mentioning Hispanic, Asian, Filipino families as examples.
And it even links this breakdown potentially to things like higher rates of homelessness as observed in places like LA, according to the source.
Losing those support networks.
Exactly, which contributes to, well, mental disharmony, less of a safety net, affects how we care for elders. It creates more isolated, maybe more vulnerable people.
Creates a vacuum.
So these breakdowns in connection, plus the constant search for external rewards, that instant gratification, the dopamine hit from our phones.
The source frames these as replacements, substitutes for genuine human connection, for finding happiness internally.
Okay, and this leads us to what the source presents as a really core explanation for why all this control is so hard to actually see.
Yes, the lack of a reference point. This is crucial to the argument.
It uses that analogy being born seeing only black and white.
You wouldn't know color exists. You wouldn't know you were missing anything.
And this applies directly to those lost life skills we talked about.
Exactly. If you never learn them, you don't know what capability you've lost. You can't understand how that lack of skill makes you dependent, easier to control.
And it applies this to history, too.
Yes. It mentions things like the mud flood idea, which is a fringe theory we should note, but uses it, and other artifacts it claims contradict mainstream history.
Not necessarily to prove those specific theories.
No, but to argue that our understanding of the past might be fundamentally incomplete or manipulated.
So we've lost our reference point for what humans were capable of before, or how society used to be.
That's the suggestion. We don't know how things really were, potentially.
And it applies this to self-knowledge, too. That our understanding of our own potential, our true power as individuals, might have been distorted or hidden.
Right. Much of our true history, our knowledge of self, could be lost, according to this source.
So the conclusion here is pretty profound. If you don't know what real freedom looks like, or what genuine human capability feels like, or what a healthy society is,
then it's incredibly hard to even recognize the current state of control or servitude the source is describing, let alone figure out how to escape it.
you can't miss what you never knew was possible.
Precisely.
So with that challenging idea on the table, where does the source say we should be focusing our attention?
Well, it strongly suggests that focusing on the usual suspects, the identifiable evil boogeymen, figures it mentions Kissinger, Soros, as examples.
Is likely a distraction.
Yeah, it presents them as probable puppets, faces put out there to draw our fire, basically, while the real mechanisms operate unseen.
Because the source's view is pretty direct here.
Yeah.
The whole system keeps going because we support it.
It's us that supports it all, is the phrase used. Our compliance, our participation, keeps the wheels turning.
So the focus needs to shift. According to the source, it needs to be on the real underlying issues.
Yes. Things like the smart grid being rolled out, the
Mhm.
Internet of Things,
Mm-hmm.
5G, automation, the move towards digital currency.
The loss of life skills we talked about. Changes in the education system.
These underlying infrastructural and systemic shifts.
And it contrasts this sharply with what it sees as political theater or popular distractions.
Right. Things like QAnon theories, the constant chatter about political arrests, Clinton Foundation, Soros, again, even major geopolitical events, like its mention of Trump's actions regarding Israel and Palestine.
The source frames these as sideshows, designed to keep people fixated on drama.
While the real control grid, the underlying structure, gets quietly put in place, it makes the point that on the ground, regarding these core mechanisms, nothing is changing, regardless of who's in power or what the headlines say.
So where does change come from then, according to the source?
It states very directly, and this might be controversial for some, that genuine change is only ever going to come from the people themselves. By refusing to tolerate wrong behavior, by refusing to comply with this control grid as it unfolds.
It does briefly mention specific methods, doesn't it? Like liability notices.
Yeah, it connects those to a group called the In Power movement, presenting them as an example of tools the source claims work. But it stresses people have to actually stand up and use them.
And just to be clear, we're reporting what the source says here, not endorsing or explaining these specific methods ourselves.
Absolutely. It's just presented as an example of the kind of non-compliance the material discusses.
And importantly, the source also directs attention inward, doesn't it?
Very much so. It suggests the most powerful answers aren't primarily found in external things, books, gurus, standard self-help.
But inside.
Yes. Through inner exploration, maybe practices like meditation, to find your true power, as it puts it.
It also touches on enlightenment, but maybe not in the way people usually think of it.
Right. It describes it potentially as a destructive process, breaking down your false beliefs, even cherished beliefs about yourself, about the world, which it notes can be uncomfortable, even painful.
And it loops back to the theme of love, or maybe the loss of love, the loss of joy. It's a kind of root cause.
Yeah, a root cause for the human predicament, it describes.
Yeah.
It talks about the deep, lasting impact of negative childhood experiences, pain, deceit, feeling lied to on how we see the world, how willing we are to engage positively.
Linking back to that breakdown of family, of connection.
Exactly.
And the source finishes that section with a pretty strong call to action aimed right at the individual listening.
Recognize that your words, your actions, they have power, both positive and negative.
Choose to lead by example. Try to make interactions positive, uplifting.
Give people the benefit of the doubt. Respect their opinions. Let them speak.
And maybe most importantly, always, always keep thinking for yourself. Don't just follow the flow. Don't just accept what you're told.
So if we try to bring all these threads together from our deep dive, the source is presenting this really compelling, though definitely challenging, argument that control isn't always obvious. Visible oppression.
It's insidious, often unseen, precisely because we lack those fundamental reference points. We don't know what a truly free or capable or connected state even looks like anymore.
And it suggests this lack of reference isn't accidental. It's a consequence of these systemic changes to family, education, technology, maybe even our understanding of history.
So the key message it really leaves you, the listener, with is this direct challenge. Don't get lost in the distractions, the political noise. Don't wait passively for someone else to fix things.
The crucial path forward, according to this material, involves keeping your focus squarely on those underlying control systems. It talks about the smart grid, automation, digitization.
And maybe even more fundamentally, actively working to reclaim your own thinking, your cognitive function, your commitment to independent thought.
It puts the onus back on the individual.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe something for you to ponder on your own. In a world that this source suggests might be designed purposefully to erode our skills and hide our history, what essential aspects of being human, what hidden potential might you need to consciously reclaim or rediscover simply by daring to question everything you thought you knew?